Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talk about a team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. So we're heading into the home stretch, right? The game is tomorrow. It's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. And Vegas seems to agree. The over-under is, like 47.5? That's pretty high for a Raider game. I think we're going to go over that. I think the teams are going to really score a lot of points in this game. And I think the running games are going to be a big separating factor. We're going to get to a bunch of stuff, what the Raiders need to do defensively, a little couple of bets here and there, and also what Pete Carroll has to say about the practice week and the game coming up. One thing that we need to focus on right now is we need to get back to basics, okay? That's what we need to focus on. There's a lot of things happening right now where I think a lot of hands are in the mix. A lot of people are giving advice here and advice there, and you should do this, you should do that. The offensive issues that we're having, I really do think we just need to let Chip Kelly handle them. He's being paid a lot of money to run this offense. We just need to let him do his thing. Everyone else, hands off. All right? Ask questions, give suggestions, whatever, but that's it. As far as coaching goes, everything has to run through Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly needs to be more involved in what's happening in every aspect of this offense. That's the only way it's going to work. We saw what happened last season when Antonio Pierce had 19 different people in his ear telling him different things on what to do. Just can't happen. If anyone is going to counsel or suggest things to anyone, maybe people suggest things to Chip Kelly and for him to make his final decision and then implement that to his coaches. That's all. I think this team can improve. This team is sorely underperforming, especially on the interior of the offensive line. It's performing at one of the worst levels I've seen in quite some time. These guys are not knowing who to block, not passing off. The technique is bad. These things can be fixed, but you have to make it simple before you make it difficult. Now, part of making it simple is you're susceptible to stunts and games and tricks done by the defense. So you have to be cognizant of that. On top of that, you have a rookie running back picking up blitzes and stuff like that. So it's not going to be easy. But it's really the only avenue we have to success is to break it down and build it back up. It seems to me it's a little bit late to be breaking things down. You should have done that in the preseason. Ultimately, we are where we are, okay? I have my thoughts on Jackson Powers-Johnson and what's been going on. I think the concussion issues are a little bit more of a concern to this coaching staff than they're letting on. I can't disagree. He's missed time the last 3 seasons, whether it's training camp or in-season games, the last 3 years because of concussions. And concussions aren't a thing where it's like, the guy's got a bum knee, but you know what, he guts it out. You can't gut it out with a concussion. If you have a concussion, you're in the protocol, and that's it. You can't practice, you can't play. So I get that they're maybe trying to save Jackson Powers-Johnson from himself a little bit right now, but these are issues that it's going to be a long-term thing, and we're going to have to figure – maybe he's going to have to put one of those squishy helmet things on. Who knows? I would say go ahead and do it because, man, this is something that can be a little bit rough moving forward. And Jackson Powers-Johnson definitely has the toughness that we need in the interior of this offensive line to help this running game. All right, let's move on to the defense. What I want to do right now is take a peek at what defensive coordinator Patrick Graham had to say about the week of practice and the game versus the Bears coming up tomorrow.
I was way back up in the Ivy League, so I have no hops. Afternoon.
What jumped out on Chicago's offense so far, and how Caleb Williams kind of progressed here as he's gone through the NFL?
First thing that jumped out is the physicality with the offensive line. They got a lot of good big players up there, good size, that play pretty physical. And the second thing that would jump out just in general about the offense is the team speed. You know, the skill players along with the quarterback, there's a enormous amount of speed out there on the field. So just being ready to capture that, I thought Minnesota did a good job of it. I thought they did a good job. I think Chicago was familiar with it. Might have caught Dallas a little bit off guard, but the speed of their team is legitimate. And then in terms of Caleb, you're seeing the maturity of a second-year player at the quarterback position and, being decisive, having his confidence grow. I think Ben does a good job of helping aid that. I mean, has a proven track record of installing the offense, implementing good schemes. He's a great challenge in terms of just to prepare for. He's really smart. That's been documented, but I just think the way he adjusts within the game and how he gets a feel for the flow, it's almost like you're going against a defensive play caller. That's how it feels going against Ben. So it's going to be interesting.
I know you like to go back and watch everything. How similar is it to what Ben was doing in Detroit, and how much does he maybe cater to what Caleb can bring to the offense?
I think, when you're watching Detroit, that's years of their installation, volume probably a lot more, but you can see it's building from week to week. So, he has a good system and he knows what he's doing, and that's been proven. So I'm sure he's going to add on a little bit more each week. So you see layers of it getting added on as you go.
How do you clean up the missed tackles or maybe even missed assignments from last week and get back to what you guys were doing the first 2 weeks?
The missed tackles, we clean it up by practicing. I mean, that's the thing we got to do just in terms of going back to fundamentals in terms of tackling. We had some issues early in training camp with it. The guys attacked it, worked it. The coaches attacked it. So once we had some issues last week, we came back and we said we got to work on this and just got back to fundamentals. That's one of the best parts about being part of this program with Pete. It's always about consistently returning back to our fundamentals and making sure that we're nailing that stuff down.
So Darren Porter get his first snap on defense last week. How did you think he did, and did he earn more going forward?
I was glad when he got tackled. That was very encouraging. Any rookie corner, their first time getting a tackle on that crack replace. I'm always proud of that. I'm like, hey, because you try to warn them during training camp and OTAs, like it's a little different, man. This guy's going to roll off at 45 and he's going to be a big boy. So I was happy he got that tackle. So I was pleased with that.
Talk about just Ben Johnson's offense as a whole. They run a lot of 12 personnel. What stands out to you about the guys they have in that 12 personnel and the challenges it presents?
Just how they use them. The first thing that stands out is their willingness to block. You could argue that those tight ends would be considered U tight ends or move tight ends, but you can't tell when you're watching the run game in terms of their willingness to block and get in there, cut off defensive ends, block front side versus outside linebackers. That stands out. Then in terms of the passing game, what they're asking them to do with protection, with the chips, sometimes getting singled with the defensive end and working their asses off to get that done. And then once you get into the passing, and they all have a little bit different flavor to them, but they're going to threaten you vertically. They could threaten you vertically, straight down the seam. They could threaten you vertically by running across the field. So there's a lot of challenges. They have a good setup in terms of team speed and skill players, in my opinion.
We've seen Tyree's snap count go up and down. Is that just trying to find a great fit for him? Or
in terms of the snap count for each game is what we think is best within the game. We go into it with a game plan, and then we have to adjust. So sometimes, when you get down or what have you, it became a bit more of a base game. It just switched a little bit. So got a little bit out of our hands. We had to, shore up the run in the second half. So, it's just based on the game plan.
All good, guys?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pretty basic stuff there by Patrick Graham. But the main thing that we're looking at here is, yes, Pete Carroll said it was a mistake to ease up on the boys because of the short week, and they didn't tackle, they didn't practice tackling, and it showed against the Commanders. Now, they got back to that. Hopefully the tackling does improve the way it did in the preseason going into the games, and it steadily improved going into the first couple weeks of the season. Now, what do we have to do versus this Bears offense? It's not going to be easy because, just like Patrick Graham said, there's a lot of speed on this team. So we have to make sure, number one, we keep Caleb Williams in the pocket. We keep him on time. That's something that Caleb Williams does not do the best right now, where he really kind of makes things happen and hurts you. He's on those scramble plays or even those off-schedule plays where he's still in the pocket, but he's looking around and he hits different targets, second or third targets that he has. So we need to make sure we keep him on time and keep him in the pocket. Now, it sounds weird to keep a quarterback on time, but he's much more effective when he's out of the pocket or when he's scrambling or moving around in the pocket, looking around, and the guys and the speed in his skill players are able to move around and find pockets of defenders. So that's number one. Got to keep him in the pocket. So we have to get out wide with our ends or if we do some twists or stunts, we have to make sure whoever's twisting out is out wide to make sure we keep Caleb Williams in the pocket. If we can do that, I think it's going to be a lot easier for us in the secondary. Now, it's not going to be easy in the secondary. There's Cole Clement. There's DJ Moore. There's Roma Dunze. There's Swift out of the backfield. There's a lot of guys that can hurt you catching the ball. Well, what we have to do is make sure we are deep and come up and tackle. We can't be ego-driven right now. We can't be, we're going to get in these guys' faces and press man, cover one. No, that's not going to work, okay? There's too much speed on this team, and one small mistake is going to hurt you really bad. So we got to make sure that we play deeper and really tighten up a zone and push everything and put a cap on everything. Maybe cover 2 or cover 3 zone that Chip Kelly liked to employ in Seattle, something that also Patrick Graham employs a lot. We have to use that more often and really cap what the Bears can do as far as pushing the ball deep. We got to keep them to short, intermediate routes, run up and tackle. The linebackers are going to be huge because these Cole Clement on his own is a killer. That guy is an excellent big-bodied receiving tight end. He can block, but I think he's more dangerous as a receiver. We have to keep an eye on him because if we let these passes over the middle go and we have a Cole Clement kind of running a little bit wild and free, he's going to hurt you. He's going to hurt you badly. Up the seams, he can go down the sidelines as well, outside the numbers. He can do it all. But we have to make sure we have a tight eye on him. Also, tight eye on Swift. Swift catching the ball out of the backfield. That's going to be a tough one. That's where I think there may be some issues late in place, even if we keep Caleb Williams in the pocket. If Swift is going to maybe leak out late or pick up a blitz and then, or a screen game and stuff like that, especially with Ben Johnson back there, Swift is going to hurt if we don't have an eye on him. It's going to be a really big thing for us in the linebacking court to keep an eye on Swift because he can really make it happen if he gets the ball in his hands in the receiving game. There's going to be some points scored in this game, okay? The over-under on my bookie is 47.5. I would probably think to go with the over on that. If you guys want to check that out, go ahead and check it out. All my social media links and sponsors and everything are on my link tree in the description. Go ahead and check it out. Use the promo code SOTO if you want. That will give you the access to all the promos and freebies from my bookie. So check that out there. I will definitely go with the over in this game. Defensively, takeaways are going to be huge. We have to make sure we protect the ball on the offense, but we can't go toe-to-toe with a team like the Bears. Ben Johnson is enough, okay? But you have Caleb Williams, who is a wizard. He's better than Geno Smith is outside of the pocket, and he's going to find a way to do that. He's going to find a way to skip out of the pocket and hurt you down the field. These guys are – Roma Dunze is a stud. DJ Moore is a freaking stud. Cole Clement's a stud. And DeAndre Swift is a stud. We have to make sure that we are tight on defense, especially in the secondary, because these guys can get big chunk plays on you, and they can hurt you at the worst times. So Patrick Graham talked a little bit about the focus or the refocus on tackling. Let's hear what Pete Carroll had to say about it.
Unless you know something I don't know, because I'm kind of paranoid, Worry about stuff,
I'm sorry? Pete, obviously it's only week 4, but historically the percentages of a team making the playoffs at 1-3 versus 2-2, it's significant difference there. Do you view this this early as a bit of a
both
must?
sides of that statistic too, No, we got to get going. That's all there is to it. We got to get going.
After a week of watching your team compete, Pete, do you expect the same starting offensive line this week you had last week?
That's a good way to ask it. You could have just asked if JPJ is playing. He's playing in this game, and then our guys they'll both play.
What did you get? Maybe a sense of the mood of the team. Are they just fired up, ready to get back onto the field after last week?
It's so much different this week from last week because of the style of practice we had to do because of the late game and all that kind of stuff on Monday. And this was a regular back to format schedule this week, and it was so much better. It was so much better. And we have a whole style of how we do it and expectations and standards and all that. We got to get right back to it, and so I'm really pleased with the week.
It's safe to say Michael Mayer is going to be playing on Sunday.
He's got another test tomorrow too, I think, before we know.
Question. another question I was wondering, like for you, like as coming into a new team, and you've done this before, previous times, so what do you embrace or what do you like about coming to a new team and like instilling your culture and like your philosophy? What do you like about that?
What do I like about that? Well, I mean, this is kind of what I do, you know, so I really embrace all of it. I like every aspect of it. I like the teaching part of it. I like the challenge part of it. Of course, it's all about, you know, sharing a whole way of looking at things, you know, about always compete and how we do all of that. It's a central theme in the program. And so there's a whole process to it. And we went through the early aspects of it, but it doesn't mean much early on. They hear the words and they hear the thoughts, you know, until we actually get out here and practice and work and have games to deal with and the issues that come up with games, wins and losses. So I like every aspect of it. You know, to me, every bit of it is a challenge to compete and figure out how you can do something a little bit better. Be curious to all of the things that are doing well and that aren't doing well, and to try to, you know, put that all in perspective and make really good choices and get better and move forward. Also, since we're just kind of rattling on here, I also like through the process, you get a chance to meet these guys, see them for the first time, start the process, and then see how they respond to the way that we do things, and then see how they respond to the games as we play it, and then to see how they respond to the games that go well and don't go well. Big wins can be just as challenging as big losses in the next week, and so you know, we're trying to understand how to master that mentality, and this week of practice tells me that we bounced right back in action, and so every bit of it is fun to me. So I like it all.
Last night, I'm not sure how much you watched the game. I know you're preparing for your own game, but there was a major special teams play at the end of the game on the kickoff that kind of helped swing the outcome of the game. They were short of the landing zone. Is that like another way to drive into your players how important every single special teams play is?
Man.
I guess how do you feel about how that?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been that play. It could have been a PI. It could have been whatever, you know, in a critical situation. Yeah, it's always the very next step you take, and that's the next play that you're faced with. It isn't about what just happened or whatever, and hopes that you're focused so that you can execute like we're counting on, and like your teammates are counting on. And so, you know, the fact that they missed the landing zone on that kick, you know, he's probably kicked thousands of balls that weren't there, and so that one got away, whatever. Yeah, but every play is crucially important, and you don't know which one's going to, you know, spell, you know, the aspect of the result of the game. So you got to play them all right to the max.
I don't know whether it's coincidental or not, but you know, with the new rules for the kickoff, you look at last week, there were blocked kicks on field goals, there were returns, there were just a lot of big plays made on special teams.
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
think that because of what's going on with the kickoff, maybe there's a new light being shed or a new emphasis being shed just on special teams when you see that?
I wouldn't think that. I wouldn't think that it affects everything because of the kickoff thing. It certainly affects the kickoff. It does affect our thinking and all that, but it doesn't affect how we punt the football and hit field goals and stuff like that. I wouldn't think. But it is. You know, the first couple weeks, just like when you're a new team, you show what you are doing, show who you are and what you're trying to get done, and the other teams get to take advantage of that. They didn't know. Like when you're a new team like us, they have to figure us out because they don't have last year. We can look at last year's film. We can look at Ben when he's coaching at Detroit. We have all kinds of different ways to go, and I think that you see a big transition maybe in the kicking game because it's 3 weeks old and everybody got a chance to see everybody, and it's pretty hard to hide it after a couple weeks.
Even though you mentioned Michael Mayer still waiting on that, can you just talk about Ian Thomas and what you believe he provides in the case that Michael Mayer can't play?
Yeah, first let's just say about Mike. Mike's had an incredibly good start with us. He's done everything we asked of him. He's been a marvelous teammate and all that. If he can't go on this weekend, he'll be back next week and ready to go. Ian has been right there every step of the way. It was a really fortunate get for us. He's got experience and background, versatility, all of that, and they really share those roles for us. So Ian will jump right in if Mike can't go, and will do a totally good job in his with his opportunity. So I'm not worried about that. I just want to make sure that Mike's right, you know, and we take care of him.
What have you learned about your team and how they responded to last week, Pete?
Well, I don't know. I know I just told you about what practice was like, okay? They totally came back and worked exactly the way we needed to. This is the championship week of preparation, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They did exactly what we needed them to do, and they did it with energy and juice and toughness and all of that. So let's see. We got Saturday review coming up, and then we get to 1 o'clock, and let's see how we go. You kind of don't ever really know. You know, you like to think you do, but you got to go out there and do the job. I'm sure they're pumped up about their win last week. It was a terrific win for them, and they get to try to make that turn, you know. Like I said, big wins are just difficult to come back from big losses. So see what happens with them, see what happens with us.
That's it. All right. Thank you.
Very interesting. Big wins are just as tough to come back from as big losses. And I think we've seen that. I think we've won a couple of big games and then we're kind of high on the horse. And the next week came in flat, right? So I can understand it. That's a lot of coaching. That's a lot of experience there from Pete Carroll. So I can see that. So that may be a little bit of a hint of, hey, man, maybe the Bears might be feeling themselves a little bit. Coming in here off of a big win, maybe we might get him. Who knows? Again, he said you never know until you get on the field. Prepping like a championship week, he got a little bit annoyed by Hondo, I believe it was, with his question about going out there and the preparation and everything. And he's like, yo, man, they prepared like a championship week, and that's really what we need to do every single week. It was a big misstep, and I think, like I was saying last week, it was a big misstep by Pete Carroll to take it easy on the guys before they got into the Commanders game. He knows he can't do that with this team. He knows he has to prep like a championship week every single week. And regardless of how many practices you have, regardless of how much time you have, every single practice has to be intense. Everything's got to be on point. So I think we're going to come back a lot stronger this week. Takeaways are going to be huge. We got that fumble from Marcus Mariota. We dropped an interception that would have been huge early in the game to kind of put us up in good field position. But in this game, Caleb Williams can turn the ball over. Definitely. And we need to make sure that we put ourselves in the right position and capitalize when it happens. I really do think we're going to go over the 47.5 because of a couple of things. The high-powered offense of the Bears, they have a lot of good skill players out there. But also, I think if we give ourselves some short fields, we can go ahead and make some big things happen for our offense as well. A couple other things just for you guys. I really like the Steelers plus 2.5. In London going against the Vikings. The Vikings did score 48 points last week, but the Bengals fumbled the ball 5 times, lost 3 of them, 1 returned for a touchdown, and they had 2 picks, 1 returned for a touchdown. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are going to play that poorly on offense, and I think the Steelers defense is much better than that boo-boo Bengals defense. So I really do like the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 in London. Also, man, I don't know what it is about Todd Bowles' defenses, but, man, Jalen Hurts does not play well against the Todd Bowles defense. He never has. So I really like it. So I think the Bucs are plus 3.5 against the Eagles. I think it's going to be a close game. They're usually close when it comes to the Bucs. I think the last few games they've won on last-second field goals. I think it's going to be something very similar. It's going to be a very close game. I would go with the Bucs plus 3.5, maybe even to win outright. And you can get all that action with my bookie. All my socials and everything is in my link tree. Go ahead and check that out in the description. Guys, this is a very winnable game for us, okay? Although the Bears really are kind of high on the horse right now because of their win last week, they don't play well on the road. They don't stop the run well. And these are things that we can capitalize if we can kind of get our heads straight and really start running this football. On the opposite side, I'm not so much concerned with DeAndre Swift running the ball, although he is very dangerous. I'm more concerned with him catching the ball. I think Caleb Williams can hurt you scrambling. You got to keep him in the pocket. You got to keep him on time. His backyard football is excellent. He can make a lot of things happen when he's buying time and moving around. So basically we want to do what the Chargers did to us and Geno Smith is have that zone, have guys come in quick, really hard tackling, really tight zones. We can do that. I think we can play that way as well. I think that we can frustrate Caleb Williams with the pressure up front and also the speed of our linebackers and our secondary. I like our chances in this week. Again, I like the over at 47.5. I think we can do it. Both of the teams are pretty good offensively. They have really good skill positions. I think we can go ahead and get that done. I think it's going to be a bounce back week for us. Like Pete Carroll said, championship week. I think we can get it done for sure. Take a look at our linebackers, man. Jamal Adams is playing his ass off. I think he might get some more snaps at linebacker because his speed and his ability to cover is going to be really big versus DeAndre Swift. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's an excellent way to support the channel. It's absolutely free. And it's the bare minimum you can do to support the channel besides doing absolutely nothing, just watch the video. On top of that, we have the Shield Society. Shield Society is really cool, man. It's a membership. It's only $5 a month. What you get is you get all the videos right away. You don't have to wait for them to be scheduled. Usually I schedule them for the following day. Not if you're Shield Society. As soon as I upload them, you get to watch them. On top of that, you get the live watch party with me. You get to hear my analysis, my play-by-play, and my insights during the game. Also, you get a chance to be in the show yourself. If you want to hop on, say what's up to everybody, you want to give your takes, any of that stuff you can do with the Shield Society. It's just us. You can say whatever we want. It's us here. I say some stuff on there that I can't say on the show. Everyone has the opportunity to be in the Shield Society. Go and check out the link in my link tree. It's all there. All my socials are there. All my links are there for you guys to check out. But I need you guys to do one thing for me, okay? Tell your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody. Raiders versus the world is the greatest thing going in Raider Nation today. All right, guys, that's my time. Till next time, everybody. Peace. Hey, Raider Nation. Thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button. Drop a comment. Make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.